Welcome back, everyone. I'm Samuel Harrison,
And I'm Olivia Harper.
and we're your hosts for the TheEMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast. You ready to dive into something pretty important today?
Absolutely. High blood pressure. It's more common than you might think.
Yeah, way more common. The stats are kind of alarming, actually.
They really are. We're talking 50% of men and 44% of women. That's almost half the population dealing with hypertension.
Wow, it's like a silent epidemic. A lot of folks don't even know they have it until something serious happens, like heart disease or a stroke.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so crucial to manage blood pressure. We all know the usual advice, right? Get enough sleep, cut back on salt.
Yeah, but let's be real. In our busy world, those lifestyle changes aren't always easy to stick with.
Right. So in this deep dive, we wanted to explore some alternative approaches, things that might appeal to those who struggle with traditional methods or want more options.
Yeah, like before turning to medication. What else is out there?
Well, one thing that caught our eye was hibiscus tea.
Hibiscus tea, really?
I know it sounds a little out there, but the research is actually pretty fascinating.
So you're telling me this pretty pink drink can actually help lower blood pressure? I'm intrigued. How does that even work?
There are a few things going on. One study showed that people who drank hibiscus tea got rid of way more sodium compared to those who drank a placebo.
Interesting.
It suggests that hibiscus tea might have a mild diuretic effect, helping your body get rid of extra water and sodium naturally.
So it's not like those harsh diuretics you hear about. It's more about gently encouraging balance.
Exactly. And less fluid means less pressure on your blood vessels, which is what we want.
Makes sense.
Huh.
But what about those vibrant colors in hibiscus tea? Is there something special about them?
You're on the right track. Hibiscus tea is loaded with these compounds called anthocyanins. They're what give it that beautiful color, but they also act as antioxidants.
So they're fighting off those pesky free radicals.
Yep. And they have anti-inflammatory properties too, which is great for overall health.
It's like a double whammy of goodness. So we've got the diuretic effect and these powerful anthocyanins. Anything else contributing to this blood pressure magic?
Well, there's also the possibility that hibiscus tea helps with vasodilation. Basically, it widens your blood vessels.
So it's like creating more space for the blood to flow, therefore less pressure.
Precisely. And this vasodilation could be linked to how hibiscus tea influences nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide is a molecule that relaxes the muscles in blood vessel walls, allowing them to widen.
This is all starting to connect. Hibiscus tea sounds pretty promising. But before everyone goes stocking up, are there any things we should be cautious about?
A couple of things. First, hibiscus tea could potentially interact with some medications, especially diuretics.
So always best to check with your doctor first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you already have low blood pressure, you might want to be careful with hibiscus tea too. Better safe than sorry.
Got it. So hibiscus tea might not be for everyone, but it's definitely worth considering. Now, while hibiscus tea seems like a great option, it's not the only thing that can help with blood pressure. Let's switch gears and talk about potassium.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Why is potassium so important for maintaining healthy blood pressure?
Well, think about it this way. When we have too much sodium in our system, it makes our bodies hold on to water. It's like sodium acts as a magnet for water.
That explains why we feel so bloated after a salty meal.
Exactly. This extra fluid increases blood volume, which puts more pressure on our blood vessels.
Yeah.
But potassium comes to the rescue. It helps balance things out.
So potassium's like the peacekeeper, making sure everything's running smoothly.
You could say that. It encourages our kidneys to flush out that excess sodium and helps regulate fluid balance.
Sounds like we need to make sure we're getting enough potassium. What are some good sources?
Oh, there are so many delicious options. One of my favorites is Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Not only is it great for gut health, but it's also a surprising source of potassium.
I never would have guessed. One 170-gram container has about 240 milligrams. Plus, a recent study found a link between eating dairy, including yogurt, and lower blood pressure.
So yogurt's a multitasker. And of course, there's the classic banana.
Of course. A medium banana has around 422 milligrams of potassium. They're like a potassium powerhouse. Plus, they're so versatile.
I love adding them to my oatmeal in the morning. Gives me a boost of potassium and fiber.
Smart move. Speaking of fiber, that's another heart-healthy hero.
Right. It seems like every food we talk about has multiple benefits.
It's true. Now, are you ready for a potassium superstar that might surprise you?
Hit me with it.
Beets.
Beets. The ones that turn everything purple.
The very same. They're a good source of potassium and fiber, but what makes them really special is their nitrate content.
Wait, don't we want to avoid nitrates?
Not all nitrates are bad. The ones in beets are actually converted into nitric oxide in the body. Remember nitric oxide?
Oh, yeah. The vasodilator we talked about with the hibiscus tea. It widens the blood vessels.
Exactly. So beets can work together with hibiscus tea to support healthy blood pressure.
I'm seeing beets in a whole new light now. So we've got hibiscus tea yogurt, bananas, and beets. It's like a delicious arsenal for keeping our blood pressure in check.
You got it. And the best part is that these are all easy to incorporate into your diet. No crazy restrictions or complicated meal plans, just simple healthy choices that can make a real difference.
I love that.
Uh,
But before we get too carried away, we need to take a quick break. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll be exploring even more fascinating insights into the world of blood pressure management. Welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. We were just talking about some potassium all-stars, like yogurt, bananas, and those surprising beets.
Right, but there's more to the story than just individual foods. There's this whole dietary approach that's been making waves called the DSH diet.
The DSH diet, what's that all about? What does DSH even stand for?
It stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. Basically, it's a way of eating that focuses on foods rich in potassium, magnesium, calcium, and fiber.
Sounds pretty good so far.
Hmm.
What about things we need to limit?
The DASH diet recommends cutting back on sodium and unhealthy fats. It's not about depriving yourself, though.
So it's more about creating a healthy balance. What kind of meals would I be eating on the DASH diet?
Picture this: a plate full of colorful fruits and veggies, some quinoa or brown rice, maybe some grilled chicken or fish, and a sprinkle of nuts and seeds.
That sounds delicious and pretty doable. It's like real food, not some crazy fad diet.
That's the beauty of it. And studies have shown that following the DASH diet can seriously lower blood pressure. In some cases, it can even be as effective as medication.
Wow, that's impressive. It seems like how we cook our food could also play a role. Does that matter too?
Absolutely. One simple change that can make a big difference is watching your sodium intake.
Okay, so less salt. But how do you make food taste good without it?
Get creative with herbs and spices: garlic, ginger, cumin, turmeric. Even a squeeze of lemon can add a ton of flavor without the blood pressure-raising effects of salt.
It's like a whole new world of flavor. What about portion sizes? Does that factor into blood pressure?
You know it. You can be eating all the right foods, but if you're eating too much of them, it can still lead to weight gain. And that can contribute to high blood pressure.
It's all about finding that sweet spot. Right. Enjoying your food, but also being mindful of how much you're eating.
Exactly. There are some easy tricks to help with portion control, like using smaller plates and bowls. It might sound silly, but it can actually trick your brain into feeling full with less food.
I've heard of that. It's amazing how much our minds can influence our eating habits. So we've talked about potassium, the DAH diet, cooking methods, portion sizes. What's the one thing you really want our listeners to remember?
Managing blood pressure is a journey. It's about making those small but sustainable changes to your diet and lifestyle. It's not about quick fixes. It's about taking care of yourself for the long haul.
It's about creating a lifestyle that nourishes your body and supports your health.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it all alone. There are tons of resources out there to help you, whether it's talking to your doctor, finding a supportive community, or learning more about healthy eating.
It's about finding what works for you and making those healthy choices a part of your everyday life. Well said.
Now, before we wrap up, let's shift gears a bit. We've talked a lot about the physical aspects of blood pressure, but what about the emotional side of things?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. How do our emotions and stress levels play into all of this?
Stress can really mess with your blood pressure. When you're stressed, your body releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, and those can cause your blood pressure to spike.
So it's not just about what we're eating and how much we're moving. It's about managing our inner world too.
Exactly. If you're constantly under stress, it can lead to chronically high blood pressure. So it's essential to find healthy ways to de-stress.
Like what? What are some good stress busters?
It really depends on what works for you. Some people find relief through exercise, yoga, or meditation. Others might find peace in nature, listening to music, or doing something creative.
It's about finding what brings you joy and incorporating those activities into your routine.
Exactly. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports both your physical and emotional well-being.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the science behind blood pressure to practical strategies for managing it, and of course the delicious foods that can help us along the way. But ultimately, it comes down to each individual. It's about listening to your body, understanding your unique needs, and making choices that empower you to live a healthier and happier life.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And as always, remember that you're not alone on this journey. There are countless resources available to support you, whether it's healthcare professionals, online communities, or educational materials. Don't hesitate to seek out guidance and support when you need it.
And remember, taking care of your heart health is an act of self-love. It's about honoring your body and making choices that prioritize your well-being. It's a journey worth taking, not just for yourself, but for the people you love.
It's about living a life filled with vitality, joy, and connection. And that's something we can all raise a glass of hibiscus tea to.
Cheers to that. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. I'm Olivia Harper.
And I'm Samuel Harrison. We hope you've learned something new, gained some valuable insights, and feel empowered to take charge of your heart health. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with anyone who might benefit from this information. Until next time, stay healthy, stay curious, and keep those blood vessels happy. Welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. It's been quite a journey exploring all things blood pressure.
It really has. We've talked about hibiscus tea, the power of potassium, the DASH diet, but there's another piece of the puzzle we need to address.
Oh, what's that?
The emotional side of blood pressure.
I don't think we've touched on that yet. How do our emotions and stress play a role?
Stress can have a big impact on your blood pressure. When you're stressed, your body releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol.
Right, those are our fight or flight hormones.
Exactly, and they cause a temporary spike in blood pressure. But here's the thing. If you're constantly stressed, if that becomes your normal state, it can lead to chronic high blood pressure.
So it's not just about external factors like diet and exercise.
Yeah.
It's also about managing our internal state, our stress levels.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to de-stress and bring a sense of calm into your life.
That makes a lot of sense. But finding ways to de-stress can be easier said than done. What are some things people can try?
It really depends on what works for you. Some people find relief through exercise, yoga, meditation. Others find peace in nature, listening to music, or pursuing creative hobbies.
It's about finding those activities that bring you joy and help you unwind, and making them a regular part of your routine.
Exactly. It's about creating a lifestyle that nourishes your body and mind, a lifestyle that supports both your physical and emotional well-being.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the science behind blood pressure to the practical strategies and lifestyle changes that can make a difference.
We have, and I hope our listeners feel empowered to take charge of their heart health.
Me too. It's been a fascinating deep dive into the world of blood pressure.
It really has. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
There are so many resources available to support you, whether it's talking to your doctor, joining a community, or simply learning more about healthy living.
Exactly. Taking care of your heart health is an act of self-love.
It's about honoring your body, making choices that prioritize your well-being.
And it's a journey worth taking, not just for yourself, but for the people you love.
It's about living a life full of vitality, joy, connection.
Hmm.
And that's something we can all raise a glass of hibiscus tea to.
Cheers to that. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. I'm Olivia Harper.
And I'm Samuel Harrison. We hope you've learned something new, gained some valuable insights, and feel empowered to take charge of your heart health. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with anyone who might benefit from this information. Until next time, stay healthy, stay curious, and keep those blood vessels happy.